All right. 1 second. Greg, your timing
I made
is awesome.
I made it.
Yeah. Anytime you can squeak in during the intro, nobody even knows you weren't here. That's awesome sauce.
Yeah, that was close. I'm working on a presentation with my mom. So she decided at 9:00 Friday was when we needed to review it. And yeah, it went well.
Good. That's awesome. So if you had noticed, we now have 3 bearded men, and
Yes.
one of them has most of the beard.
We have big beard energy
in the big beard energy. That's good shit. It's my buddy A.Ron from 3 Right Turns. Met him in the Yang Gang. Coming on the Moving Forward podcast and stuff. It was actually Bob Benson that introduced us. Super fan of the Moving Forward podcast, and general finder of all things fantastic. So Aaron, thanks for coming on board this morning. We don't really have a whole lot of stuff for sure to talk about, but there's been some things in the news we could probably get to that. But the first thing we do every morning now, just because 2020 is a fucking giant pile of dog shit, is give everybody a chance to express at least one gratitude. Everybody does it in the comments. And we'll let you start. I'll just put you on the spot, like right now, so I can pour some coffee that I need bad.
That Corey brought me on to Moving Forward to just supplant him as rotating co-host. I just like such a huge opportunity that was given to me. So thankful. I'm so thankful to have such a caring guy to do that for me.
Thanks, I guess.
See, one of my here's an honest to God. I was worried about this. My son started school this week. And the last quarter of his school at our local district was a real shit show because nobody obviously was prepared, and he didn't do extremely well into that curriculum, and I hadn't heard a lot from the school. There's like a lot of radio silence until like the last week or two, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be awful, this online, because you could choose to send your kid physically, or you could choose what they call an online academy version of the local curriculum. It's supposed to be staffed with teachers and everything. And this week it's working out really well. He's getting 45 minutes of instruction from one of his local teachers in all the core subjects.
Nice.
They've got a really nice control panel that they've licensed that I feel like as a parent, I know what's going on, and I know he's keeping up on his assignments, and the schedules are very clear. And there's a real routine that's being developed. And my school district also got some funding to secure some Wi-Fi bridges for kids that didn't have high-speed internet to support them, and got some Chromebooks for kids that didn't have computers. So I think all the kids that want to remote learn are able to, and it's working out pretty good. One weekend, we'll see.
Are you comfortable telling us where that is? Because we're in Florida, so this obviously none of that's happening here.
Yeah, so this is in the West Claremont School District in Ohio. It's a suburban, boundary suburban rural district in to the east of Cincinnati.
Okay. Yep.
And like I said, I think they're doing a real good job.
So that's sort of the Pennsylvania corner down there, right? That's you're kind of in that.
Yeah, we're the tri-state area, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, all forming up like Voltron.
Yeah, I know some folks in that area that they shop in Cincinnati, even though they live in Kentucky. It's very strange there. So I kind of know that area.
Covington's essentially Cincinnati South. That's
where they are. They're all people that used to run Fark.com, which is a huge news aggregator site, and they're all based in that name. Drew Curtis and Andrea Siders and all those folks. Yeah, they're friends of mine.
No, I was an old time Fark guy.
Oh yeah, I am. I'm Skink from Fark. I was Yeah, one of the FARC forum denizens. I lived in the FARC forum for many years. So
Amazing.
yeah. Internet cred, 5-digit account number.
Whoa. That's pretty sweet. My biggest claim to fame at one point was I had a 4-digit /.id.
Nice. So we're being nerds, Corey. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah, no, I
had
the
FARC forum, like at holiday time, we all end up posting in there, and it's now the longest single surviving discussion thread on the internet. The FARC forum thread 1 is the longest still operating discussion thread on the internet these days. So I feel pretty good then. I've been there since 2002, 2003, maybe something like that.
Greg,
So anyway.
Have you watched *Halt and Catch Fire*? Or either
I
one
have. I loved it. I absolutely
we just finished it a little while ago, and it was awesome. So just for some context, because who knows where? Because we're gonna have to talk about Raised by Wolves today, and who knows, maybe other stuff. Because while A.Ron has absolutely joined the lineup for the Moving Forward podcast, and he's clearly genuinely super excited about that challenge. He also does a bunch of other podcasts. Obviously, does 3 Right Turns in their own studio. And we can talk about what that's all about, but he does entertainment stuff as well, which is fantastic, and I think something that everybody probably needs at this point. To get to some gratitudes though, and then we'll kick it off. What do we got here? Sorry, I'm just scrolling. Grateful for my husband. Happy 36th, Zach. We love you. I'm grateful for art that keeps me sane, whether creating it or experiencing it. It heals the tortured soul. Ginny is grateful for an amazing child. That's fantastic.
Is it your child or someone else's?
I mean, child's grateful for that child. Rob's grateful for fall being just around the corner because he can't wait to start sniffing that pumpkin spice. I've seen some hilarious memes about that recently. Actually, It's been pretty good. Elizabeth is grateful my dog's heart murmur was not detected in a recent exam. She's supposed to have a dental soon, so I'm nervous about that. Because I worry. Well, there you go.
Sure. You're a dog mom. That's your job.
Yeah, exactly. That's all this is about. Gratitude is bursting out of me today. The daughter unit. I love that she calls her the daughter unit. It's coming home for a quick visit. Here's hoping our porch visit will have a nice breeze blowing through. Excited to see your new green hair. Fantastic. Anyway, there's tons. You guys are awesome.
Corey, what are you grateful for?
That's a cool feature, how you're able to like really quickly highlight chats and stuff. That's neat.
You mean like that?
Yeah, StreamYard is pretty cool.
Oh, is that's StreamYard software? Damn.
Yep, that's straight in. We did nothing fancy. This is it came with the program. So
super cool.
Yep. And we're live right now to our Facebook page and to YouTube at the same time.
What are you grateful for, Corey?
What am I grateful for? Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
It's such a long list that.
No, I'm going back to the chirp well again. It's been sort of dominating life. We launched about 3 days ago wide, and it's getting busier all the time. Like I'm trying to get to every single post just to say hello and like it a couple times because of course that gets you some coins, and it's turning into a bit of a zoo, which was the idea, right? The whole point is to get so much going on that I can't keep up with it. And I would imagine that sometime this next week, I'm probably going to need some volunteers.
Yep. And then he'll burn out and run off to the beach and hide for a week. And
Greg has met me.
It's a pattern.
It is.
I'm grateful for my mom this morning. My mom is a licensed mental health counselor who went to college in her 50s to get her master's degree to open a counseling service. And when I came back to Florida, it's 11 years ago this week, actually, from living in Canada, she put me to work right away, helping co-facilitate some substance abuse groups. And I ended up as her batterer intervention program facilitator. And I had to have some pretty stiff education requirements to do that. And we're doing a process, or we're doing a presentation next week for guardian ad litem advocates locally in our community to explain to them the difference between anger management and batterer intervention. And so my job was to put together the PowerPoint presentation because I can. And I did it. And usually what happens when I do a project with my mom, who's 78 this year, she'd be mad as hell if she knew I was telling everybody that, is I make a thing and then she critiques it like I'm a 12-year-old. and we go through this hideous process of like it was when I was doing homework in 7th and 8th grade, and I get mad as hell. But that didn't happen today. She actually she trusted me with the presentation. I did the whole thing. I laid it out. She made a couple of minor edits, and I'm done. I got it done. And I'm grateful for my mom's growth as a parent and understanding that I am a grown ass man and I can do things without 7th grade supervision. So feeling good about that. Sounds a little sarcastic and bitter, but I really am grateful for my mom giving me the opportunity to become a better man by learning about those kind of dynamics in interpersonal relationships. I would not have known the things I know had I not been asked to do this work. So yeah, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
She's not on Facebook, so there's no chance in the world she sees this glowing endorsement.
If she did, she'd run in here and say, like, Greg, it's just I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah. I just wore it out. Is he? It's like when your first kid falls down, and everybody, oh my gosh, we're taking him to the ER. Your third kid, it's like, are they bleeding? No, it's fine. Everything's fine. So I wore her out. That's for sure. Yeah, indeed.
So is there anything in the news we have to cover, or should we just start talking about awesome science fiction?
It's whatever you guys want to do.
Well, I actually don't know. Ron, what is 3 Right Turns about? So just maybe our viewers that don't know might want to know that.
Oh yeah, so 3 Right Turns is as Corey alluded to, I run a pop culture podcast with my buddy. And as the years went on, it got more and more, political topics coming up because I don't know if you've noticed, but Hollywood every once in a while comments on things going on in the world. That was causing a lot of friction amongst the community. So I split off and created this 3 Right Turns podcast on the Swizzbold network that I share with my buddy and my wife. And I was formerly conservative Christian, fundamentalist Christian. And I try to talk about progressive leftist topics from that point of view. I'm a boy from the deep woods of Indiana. I have a lot of those. I know where a lot of those sensibilities come from. I understand the frustration from white folks who are not racist being called racist, but they're actually racist. And I'm trying to help them understand, but I'm actually helping them try to understand that no, we're not saying you're Klansman. We're just saying that you support a system that
systemic racism is different. Yeah.
Honestly, it's a lot of this is just taking the leftist academia and translating it so people can be like, oh, okay. And that's the goal and the hope anyway. We have a bi-weekly show where I try to do deep dives on topics or have deep conversations that you don't hear many other places. And
I'm remembering now we've had you on before, and this came up that you had come from that background. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was not.
That's okay. It's been a while
tracking things. Yeah. Okay.
It's been like it was the beginning of the Corona thing when I last came on here, and it's been 5 years since. So I don't blame you for not recognizing.
Yeah. Fred Eater reminds us that 3 right turns will get you to the left. I also like to remind people that 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 2 rights made an airplane. So there's that. Sue's asking. I have to ask ICQ. ICQ was the first ever internet chat program.
I was on ICQ back in the day.
If you think about it, I seek you. It was a way to look for people directly and have chats with them across the internet.
Shitty puns even back then, huh?
Actually, there was IRC along the whole.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember setting up ICQ with my neighbor Ernie. And we were standing outside our doors yelling at each other across the fence. Is it working over there? And my wife at the time thought that was hilarious that 2 old, idiots out there yelling at each other to see if the internet's working. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just yell? That seems to be working for you. But anyway,
right? We can just get some soup cans after we're done throwing them at the man and empty them out and attach some strings to it and just do that.
The tactical 66 millimeter soup cans.
Soup can launchers. Yeah. I'm thinking that a mortar tube would be a really great delivery system for soup cans. It's just
I saw somebody made one. It's like it looks like one of those old potato rifles, but they'd spray painted a jet black and stenciled 66.2 millimeter ordnance delivery device.
I mean,
crazy.
That's dangerous.
And if you want to do damage, you go with the chunky, the Campbell chunky soups.
Smart, it's more dense.
Somebody was asking me yesterday about those big fat Progresso cans, like the family size Progresso cans. Yeah,
Ooh.
those would leave a mark.
You can get those, but you need a $250 stamp from the ATF.
You gotta have a federal soup license.
You do.
This got weird quickly. By the way, I posted in the comments here that I'm going to give 100 coins to anybody who posts in the hashtag Coffee Channel on Chirp, and Sue's already done it, so I'm sending her a fat stack of the coins right now.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
I did want to touch on what we didn't really learn yesterday, but got a lot of traction yesterday was the president's appalling comments on our veterans. I'm not surprised. A lot of it just is stuff that we already know, views that he already holds. So the idea today that people are saying, "Oh, he didn't really say that," the anonymous sources, blah blah blah. No, listen, it completely checks out. It squares exactly with things he's said before about specific veterans and their families. It's not a surprise to me that he would go there. And watching the deconstructive of why he might be saying those things is because he simply is a human being that doesn't understand any action that isn't transactional. Like his questioning, what was in it for them of John Kelly, about John Kelly's son, while standing in Arlington at the grave of John Kelly's son, asking his father, "I don't get it. What was in it for them?" That completely checks out for me with our understanding of Donald Trump as a human being, that unless it's transactional and there's something to gain, he doesn't understand why anybody would do it. Right. Asking about people, that guy's a smart guy, why did he join the military, is a sign that he simply does not understand that there are people who do things selflessly or for other motives besides it benefiting them personally. And that's about his character. And it checks out. It checks out with everything that we've learned about him, from the Humian Khan family to what he said about John McCain repeatedly, over and over publicly. There's no surprise in this for me. It's just appalling, and I'm past the point of being angry at Donald Trump. Now I'm angry at the people who say they love veterans, who are veterans, who have military families, who still support him. I just can't understand how anybody comes to that place where it's okay. I mean, I have an uncle who served and just loves Donald Trump, and he lost friends in Vietnam. He lost lifelong friends in Vietnam, and I can't understand how he doesn't understand that the president thinks he's a chump.
Greg,
it just makes me a little crazy.
But her emails, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I don't know what to say about this stuff, because we discussed this we had a live stream for Swizzbold last night, our patrons, and the unfortunate thing is this isn't going to move the needle. If there was video of him saying it, it might have moved the needle a little bit, but I feel like this stuff, because of the McCain stuff, because of the Gold Star families, because of I prefer the guys that didn't get captured, it's like this is all kind of like it baked in, and it's not going to be shocking, and it's like there's this, I don't know what to do with I know we all do it, but as progressives, there's just so many people I follow on Twitter that love to on a daily, weekly basis chime in here with these takes. I just want to point out that what Trump is doing is illegal. I just want to point out what Trump is doing. And at this point, it's I feel like what we need to get in is eyes narrowed, arms crossed, yeah, talk your shit. Just stay okay. Can we register a friend to vote? Can we register a family member to vote? Have we made sure that we got our ballots filled out? Have we requested them? Are we doing the stuff that's actually going to matter? Because I gotta think sometimes this shit just happens as a manipulate. 9 times out of 10, it's a manipulation to get our minds off of something that's really fucked up, which is all the time. And then 1 out of 10, you got him on a legitimate issue like this that could maybe actually hurt him. But he's just going to deny it, say it's fake news, it's a bunch of liars.
He always does. But even when he was denying it, he called the guy who worked for him that he hired a loser. Mm-hmm. Right?
He called John Kelly a loser in all this. Jesus.
That's right. That's what he what he said. In his panicked denial, he literally does the thing to that other guy who was in the military at the same time, right? So I think it reverberates a little bit like that. I think you're totally right. Aaron, we need to be thinking about get out the vote as far as progressives are concerned. It's not like we aren't preaching to the choir. Everybody knows that. That's great. But I have this deep suspicion that the elections in the United States turn on the brains of feckless morons that will tune in for 5 seconds right before the election. Right?
It's entirely possible.
And I don't know what that percentage is, but I think targeting the like 30,000 foot high level narrative over and over and over again is one of the things that worked for Trump, right? Like, oh, like Hillary, I just don't like her or whatever. Like, and then anything that you can attach to that was enough to win. So now the thing that could be enough to win is like, he doesn't even have the fucking military. What? Right. So somebody who's just like chiming in 2 or 3 weeks before the election, which is, you know, a non-trivial percentage of the electorate, could see that and you know, be affected by a news cycle like this. And then basically, you know, that could tip them over the edge to whatever extent. Because again, we know the undecideds are probably not a large group to cull from. But I mean, if you're going to be hitting with ads anyway, why not smash them 24 hours a day right up until the election's over?
Did you guys see that came out early this week, maybe late last week, that this new Military Times poll for the first time showed that there's a majority of enlisted men and women? Because you know, it's been a while that the officer corps has been like 2/3 supporting of the Democratic candidate,
right?
But with the enlisted men, it's been very solid Republican for a long, long time, and for the first time ever, even amongst enlisted, you know, Biden's leading 41%, 30 to 37% for Trump, and amongst enlisted men, 42% said they strongly disapproved of Trump's time in office. So if you lose the military, all you've got are the, you know, LARPers out in Trump country. But I don't know. But and the other thing is, she's like, will this be a fair election? You know?
Yeah. No.
Like I just read, I keep reading nightmare scenarios from very smart people. And the latest one that I read last night before I went to bed is, if this is going to be a majority mail-in vote, then the election will not be over on election night.
Right. And we need to start setting an expectation that it may take a week or two. Yeah.
Well, and what he's doing now
is states will be called for Trump, and Trump will declare victory based on just the in-person voting. And then, you know, and he absolutely would.
Of course he will. You know, Facebook and Twitter have already announced that they're basically going to block any, you know,
early results.
Well, if Trump says I won, they're going to delete it, which is, you know,
Twitter said that. Oh, okay.
Twitter and Facebook apparently. So that, you know, that part's interesting. But what he's doing now, telling everyone to vote twice.
That's a felony, by the way.
Hello. It's I mean, and again, it's a felony only if you get arrested. Like, this is the new world we're living in, right? It's only illegal if somebody fucking puts you in jail for it, which means, like, you know, for them, nothing is illegal anymore. But the thing that I'm worried about the most is that a significant percentage of his people are going to do this, and it's going to slow everything down that much more. Like that is just a fact that's baked in now. He's trying to break the actual electoral system, and to whatever extent that works, he can just say, "Go fuck yourself. I'm president now," and you know, that'll just work.
Yeah, it'll work. I mean, the ultimate check on the government is we the people. So, like, if something like that happens, we got to do something. I've been over the summer stockpiling protesting gear, which it started last year with just some whiteboards and markers and sticks, and it's getting to point of gas masks and ballistic goggles, and I'm looking at bulletproof vests. I'm not going to come armed, but I kind of want. I'm thinking that maybe if there's some widespread protest, that it would be smart to vest up. But it's insane that, like, you need $1,000 worth of gear to safely protest in 2020 America. But if that shit comes to pass, it's going to be millions of people flooding Washington D.C. between November and January that make the difference. It's not going to be the State Department's not going to save us.
Yep.
The Justice Department is not going to save us.
Yeah.
The House is not going to save us. It's going to have to be just millions of people overwhelming and demanding something happen. And
I actually think that's the thing that we're going to do. I honestly, I'll tell you, like, I've been thinking about this for the past few weeks. I see just an overwhelming number of Trump Pence signs in my neighborhood, in my community, in my county, in the 2 counties north of me, because we've been going on some little road trips, and it's discouraging. It's just, I'm not seeing a lot of Biden Harris signs, but I think what's happening there is we all know that if we put Biden and Harris signs out in our yard, that they'll get taken out. And my local candidate signs got taken out within 2 days of me putting them up in my front yard. I didn't even have a Biden-Harris sign in my front yard. I had a Brandy Goyette sign and a Daniel Angelino sign. They were gone in 2 days because people are going by my house at 6 a.m. on their walk and taking my signs down. And I can put deer urine and glitter on them, to the next set to keep that from happening or to discourage that from happening. But I didn't put them back up, right? And I think maybe that's what's happening on this side of this contest is we're all quietly girding our loins, stocking up on sign materials and catchers masks and chest protectors, and getting ready to take to the streets. And we have some experience with this now locally, right? In my little town, which never had this kind of thing, we're making national news now because counter protesters are in prayer circles, Proud Boys in prayer circles with our local police. Mm-hmm. We have that on film, right? Our local police are siding with the Proud Boys against BLM protesters openly. And I think that I think this is going to be a very quiet moment until it's not. I think Democrats and progressives are where I think we're all getting ready to have to go to the streets if things don't go the way they should go here. It's a powder keg in my town. And I'm afraid we're going to be the next Kenosha. I'm legitimately afraid of that at this point. And I just feel like, I mean, I don't like to use the phrase silent majority, but I honestly think right now a lot of people are just keeping their heads down and, doing the things that you're talking about, registering their friends, making sure they have a voting plan, making sure they checking with the local supervisor of elections to make sure they are registered for vote by mail, knowing where the early voting locations are. I see a lot of my friends posting, hey, they opened up 6 new early voting locations in our county. Here they are, right? So I'm seeing some preparation for making sure that this election is as fair as we can make it, and a readiness to get out there if it's not. Yes, Corey, you may speak.
I'm so sorry. I have to pull it, Dave Myers. Here's what we're doing right now. We're depending on the rationality and good sense of the American electorate.
So what's our
case of rum right now?
What's the other option, Corey?
We don't have any other option. That's it. Like, all we can do is get out the vote. All we can do is be positive about it. But just like in this moment, I'm like, also, hey, you know how like I tell everyone to never overestimate the power or intelligence of the American electorate? Oh, that's what we're doing. And that's the hope, right? I mean, is this country going to be a slight majority, not total fucking psychos? Hope so.
Yeah, and we don't need 100 million people to have good common sense. We need 5 to 10 million people that have a righteous passion for justice and for what's right and democracy to flood the streets. Like, that's what we don't need everybody. And that's why I've been encouraging my audience is like really put some serious thought on what you're going to do in November, December, because and it's not going to look like Trump declaring martial law and dressing up like M. Bison and Street Fighter, and it's going to look like an endless legal challenge. It's going to be endless. It's going to be Florida 2000 in 15 different states. It's going to be Bill Barr. I'm not even sure if voting twice is illegal.
Unbelievable.
It's going to be that shit.
What?
And
he didn't really say that, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Of course he fucking did.
He said it more than once.
Trump's wrong. He can't say Trump because if he did, he'd have to go clap him in iron. So we have to really give serious thought. Like, do you have vacation time? What are you going to do with your kids? Can you be the person in the street linking arms with people? Can you be the person staying up past curfew, enduring the rubber bullets and the gas? Because that's what will happen. Absolutely. And why? Because I was just talking to a moderate centrist yesterday that's like decrying the violence in the Black Lives Matter movement, and part of me is going to be like, I feel like we're going to be pining for these days of fairly moderate, very dispersed violence. Like cities are on fire. Some blocks in some cities are on fire. Calm down, settle down. Yeah. But we might be pining for these days in 3 months.
Yeah.
We can smoke balls on this podcast. What the hell? Yeah, this. I'm just sitting here with a goddamn Red Bull. And
to be fair, I live in the second smallest city in Florida to decriminalize. So I won't get in much trouble. I might get a fine, but yeah, I'm good here.
Elizabeth Wood just got 100 coins for posting the hashtag copy channel on Chirp. Thank you. This is fun.
Nice.
I love sending people coins. This is my new favorite thing.
Yeah,
I probably sent
Virginia reminds us.
Sorry, go ahead.
That there is no Black Lives Matter protest in Newport Richey this Friday. There was an event planned. They canceled the event because counter protesters are showing up with guns and not being challenged on that by the police. So they have put off. There is something else planned, but I'm not at liberty to discuss what it is or when and where. But there are definitely, and I'm sure that the Trump supporters in our community are going to see this as a victory, that we're a bunch of pussies, and that's fine. They can think what they want, but we will be out there, just not in a context that makes them comfortable or gives them access to what we're doing.
That makes sense.
So I saw a lot of people, like even people, the commentators I think are kind of reasonable centrist, say that like, well, what are you going to do if it's illegal to open carry in the state? And what can you do with that? And I'm like, am I the only one that remembers back in 2000 when they invented free speech zones, where they herded protesters into cattle cages and pushed them off to the side so they couldn't be seen at the Republican National Convention, and they couldn't be seen by the Wall Street types that were when we're protesting? Like, if you can abridge someone's First Amendment rights, but you just can't fucking do anything when the assault rifles come into town. And I kind of am a Second Amendment guy. I do own several guns. Just took my son out shooting last week. But like, that seems insane to me, that you can abridge a First Amendment right without really any kind of fanfare, but to even contemplate, like, you know what? This is an active protest zone. We don't need weapons here. We're going to arrest anyone that open carries. We're going to prosecute. Like, seems like a no-brainer to me.
In Florida, municipalities and local governments are enjoined from changing, enacting local gun laws by state legislative process. In other words, if you're a city and you decide that, they're going to prosecute you, and they're going to sue the city leaders for doing so. Right. So if our mayor was motivated to tell people you can't bring guns to a protest zone in the city of Newport Richey, he would in fact be sued and punished by the state of Florida for doing so.
And I would love to see that go to Supreme Court, and I would love the hypocrisy of the Supreme Court rubber stamping free speech zones. But like
years ago, I would have told you that the city of Newport Richey had that mayor, but after his comments this week, we don't have that mayor. His comments this week were, well, the fact that counter protesters are bringing guns to the protests is a sign of BLM escalating. So counter protesters bringing guns is an escalation by Black Lives Matter. That's where the mayor landed on this issue, and he is a Democrat. And I have to tell you how hard it is for me to go after any local elected Democrat in my county, which is overwhelmingly red. It's not okay that he took that position. He's basically saying, well, I hit you because you were mouthing off. He's basically saying, see what you made me do.
Yeah, I've interviewed the guy.
No, it's abusive. No, I don't want to give him a pass that it's passive, that he's sticking his head in the sand. No, he's actively. I didn't say,
Greg, calm down. Hi, smoke your bowl. That's not what I was going to say.
He's sticking his head in the sand.
Up his ass is where I was going, but thank you for completing my fucking sandwiches. See what I did there?
You stick your head in the sand and then up your ass. That's a bad time.
Yeah, no,
that's not what he's doing.
It's a complete coward move. Like, he's just like, no, man. Like, both sides are writ large. No, it's fucking ridiculous. Right. Dude, I'm not going to give that guy any cover in any way, shape, or form.
And we did for many of you to interview him on this show. We've had an amount of respect for Mayor Marlowe, but that all evaporated when he decided that his police officers having a prayer circle with a known, SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center certified hate group, and not doing anything about that, not even saying anything about that, that's problematic, and he's lost all my respect.
Yep. I'm gonna do a little pivot here, Fred. Excuse me. He just said, I would love it, by the way, if everyone here would leave a voicemail for the show about your feelings about the next election day. That's Fred's Front Porch, which is a fantastic fucking podcast. Doing an anniversary show next week with the number, and I'm totally going to do that. I hope everybody else does as well. This wine in the morning thing was the right call. That I just want to put that out there. This is working for me right now.
That's wine with no H.
I came with Red Bull. I was really unprepared for this.
I mean, I came to the full pot of coffee, but like
I got a whole different energy.
The second Bill Barr starts going like, yeah, no, voting twice isn't illegal. Like,
I don't know the laws in that state. He's
Fuck this
basically,
shit.
I don't know the laws in that state.
Jesus Christ.
Bullshit.
It's such a joke. The whole thing is a joke.
It's a little known fact. All commonwealths in the country, you can just vote as many times as you want. It's always
That's
state.
What, you didn't know that, dummies?
Kentucky, Virginia, yeah, you can just vote as many times as you want.
You know, I stopped using the joke "vote early, vote often" because I thought it was denigrating to the election process. But apparently, we're just pissing all over that now. So vote early, vote often. There you go.
Yeah, man. I thought, man, I had something else I wanted to say about the voting stuff, and I can't remember what it is, but well.
What does it down? I guess Wake and Bake it is. Y'all are terrible influences.
Well, duh.
I'm not sorry. Yeah,
did you not get the memo? What?
Greg, I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've drank on this podcast, and I'm also pretty sure it's not the last time I'm going to drink on this podcast.
Probably. Yeah, election night coverage is going to be interesting.
I just realized we're gonna have to do a live stream like the night after the election, and I'm just like,
like doing it the night of could be interesting, but yeah, it's almost more like, okay, tonight we're not gonna know unless it's a blowout, right? Because it's a possibility.
Yeah, that's
if it's
what I
really, if it's a 10-point swing and on election night we're like that would be good. And then, the next day this podcast will be over. We might never do it again because we won't need it. Just kidding. That's not true. We're going to talk about Sasquatch and fucking EM drives. By the way, Greg, we need to talk about that. It's Science Friday. There is actually a possibility that a version of that will exist. But anyway, go ahead, Aaron.
Also, there's this movement like bully Biden, because the work for progressives and leftists once if Biden gets elected is to make sure that he doesn't creep right, like hold the administration accountable to the promises and the policies that they've made.
1,000,000%.
We want to go into negotiating table with Republicans, not with a pre-negotiated 50% compromise, and we get whittled down to 15%, but fight for our principles. And when Biden fucks up and when the administration fucks up, hold them accountable.
Yep. Well, I remember thinking that the Daily Show was going to get unfunny once Obama won. It didn't. There was still plenty of shit to make fun of and do. So I'm sure we'll have plenty of material.
We
do
need to be having that fight.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing where I've been talking with centrists and moderates that my vote doesn't matter in my state. First of all, state and local always fucking matters. And second of all, I do want this to be a blowout. Yeah, run that score up in California. Run the score up in Minnesota. Run the score up in New York. Run the score up. Make it like if we lose the Electoral College, make it a 15 million popular vote deficit. Because that's the only way to get the system changed is to make it ridiculous and outrageous and self-evident to the 2/3 of the country we need it to be to make some real changes here. And we do I keep thinking everybody's kind of gotten used to my vote doesn't matter because I live in Indiana, it's Trump, it's country, or my vote doesn't matter because I live in California and it's super blue. Get out there and vote anyway, because state and local always matters, and run up that score. Be like the Patriots. Don't ever let up the gas pedal. You got they're down 51-7 and it's 2 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Fucking try to pound it through the goal line. Humiliate.
Be like the Patriots. Cheat.
Yes. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What are we looking at, Corey?
Oh boy, this is a battleground map.
So, yeah, Fred asked if a blowout is possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we need 270 to win. Right now, on just the stuff that's over 6 or 7 point swings, we win. Right? And now we know to take that with a grain of salt. The election's going to be a mess. Bloody fucking blah, 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 blah. Right? But if everyone is feeling like us and everyone goes out and gets their mail-in ballot and sends it in day one, and the states, if there's a lot of counties that have Republican election managers like the one that we have in Pasco County, who actually isn't terrible at all, right? Then, some interesting things are possible. So, yeah, I mean, if we only won half of the Electoral College votes in the toss-up, then it's a blowout. It's a blowout. Right.
And that's a known weakness of gerrymandering. Is gerrymandering tries to finely tune a rigged machine so that you win on the margins. But if you get a big amount of turnout for the opposing party, it actually it becomes like it's a mechanism that goes against the prevailing party because they've diluted so much of their stuff to win more than their fair share of votes that they start. It becomes a tsunami. Like, you know, it's like a storm surge hitting Louisiana, and that's bad. But then when the levee breaks, it's 10 times worse. Well, the gerrymandering is the levee, and if we weaken it and break it through massive turnout, we can actually flip stuff that people can't even imagine. Now, that's, like I said, that's a fantasy scenario that we should shoot for. But I've read a lot of commentary that gerrymandering is a very strong lockhold on the country, but it's a very brittle one. And it relies on people being demoralized and not turning out and thinking it's a foregone conclusion. And if you get people to shake out of their apathy and show up, and again, you should always show up every year to every election, special elections, because that's where the real fuckery happens, you know, at your city council level, at your mayor's office, at your district attorney's office. And that's what gets settled on these state and local elections. So you should always show up. But yeah, run up the goddamn score.
Yeah, we're tied in Texas right now. Just want to throw that out there. We're tied in Texas right now.
Texas is in play. Texas is in play.
Legitimately tied right now. And, you know, what they do the modeling so it's still lean Republican because, Jesus Christ, it's Texas, right? But if we win Texas, like, just everyone could fucking go home, right? So there are some things, there are some states that are going to get this right. There are some results that we're going to be able to count on. It could very conceivably be at the point where this is, you know, what we're looking at, you know, at the end of the night on that night is this, right? Like, oh, we're super worried. Sorry. We're super worried about these, right? With all of the undecideds or what have you. This is probably like that or whatever, right? But where we've already won, right? So there's going to be issues, but a blowout is absolutely possible. And I saw some stuff yesterday on Twitter like, oh, we're going to lose so many seats in the House. No, we're fucking not. No, we're not. We're not. Like, we might lose some, but we have a 50 seat margin in the House or some stupid fucking thing, right?
And it's also worth remembering how many Republican members of the House have decided not to run again, right? So the incumbency lean is not really there for a lot of those seats now, right? Incumbents are much more likely to be reelected than somebody challenging them. So with the number of people like Texas, the Texas congressional delegation, something like, is it 9 or 11 members of the House decided not to run again? So even if somebody else runs as a conservative, that gives a much better shot to a Democrat to walk up on them, right? And we, you know, I mean, my mom ran for school board in my county during the Clinton cycle, and she got beat by a Democrat because so many people voted straight D in that election. And my mom ran as a Republican, which is really weird, but that's the way it happened. So my point is that I think we could see a surge in those local and state elections that we might not have otherwise seen. I have to tell you, I think that, I mean, I feel like I'm not talking to anybody who's not planning on voting in my part of Florida. Right. There's just not many people that I think are removed from the process. I think we're going to have overwhelming turnout in especially in this part of Florida. And I think that one of the dangers here is that if Florida goes to Trump, it's early in the day, right? It's early in the evening, and he may declare victory just on one big East Coast win. And it's the one he's likely to get, the big delegate count voting
to count,
right? On the East Coast, that's the one he's likely to think he's got, or to be able to convince people he's got the election in the bag if Florida goes to Trump. And there's some motivation to make sure you have a plan and you're registering your friends and making sure everybody's ready to vote.
Just to run the same page, Florida total toss-up state. I get it. Last poll, we're up by 3. Again, like, to everyone saying, oh, polls are all garbage. No, they're not, right? Like, these races are all going to come in within the margin of error. They just will. We know this, right? And, it could very well come in within the margin of error on Trump's side because of all the fuckery. I get it. And it could come on the other side of that, and we could fucking lose. I'm not immune to that.
I mean,
but polling still does actually work, as proven by 2018.
Trump could also win a fair election under our election. It's entirely possible because it is... You're right. I was gonna say, it's like, if you think that's crazy, I don't know what to tell you, because he has an amazing amount of support. It doesn't make sense.
That's not real. But like, the amazing. No, don't get me wrong. Like 45% of people. Like, I'm not saying it's not like that part is real. Yeah. but he won by 80,000 votes in 3 states. It's not big, and it's not growing. It's only gotten smaller since 2016. 2018 proved it categorically, right? Everywhere where he was saying, "Oh, please, I want this guy to win," and they had a shot, they got crushed. The electoral reality on the ground, we're terrified right now, and we should be, right? I know that I'm trying to offer in a little bit of math and data to this because everyone just go out and fucking get out the vote anyway. But his support has been nothing but eroded since then. He's just fucking loud. He's loud. And I've seen so many progressives say oh my God, he's going to win. What? Because Trump said he was going to win? Show me the data that says he's going to win. It doesn't exist.
No, there's no data that says right now, but the fact that the polls are moving in a certain the trajectory, the fact that these riots are taking up an enormous amount of mental space in centrist and moderates. The fact that Trump is seen as a law and order president, even though he's lawless and disordered, it's the perception. And I'm a data driven guy too, and I try to stay what's real. And what I can't control any of that stuff. I can only have the conversations with my friends and family, my audience, and I think that's I mean, if you know these so-called reasonable moderates, just push back on it. I've even been it's I was talking about this last night. If you got a friend that's oh, these riots, it's I don't like Trump either, but these riots, you got to establish do you believe that these protests have merit? And if they don't, then you argue that point. Okay, if they have merit, what has changed in the last 5 months that would cool these things down? Have black men not been shot by police officers? Have police not engaged in brutality against civilian peaceful protests?
Have police been charged for killing people?
Because so many times, and this is as a person who engages with conservatives all the fucking time, so many times I see progressives just go in there at stage 3 of the argument without actually establishing the priors. If you're arguing with a person that thinks Black Lives Matter is a bunch of bullshit on the face of it, trying to talk about whether looting and violence is justified is a losing. You got to back up and fight in those principles. And can you? Because also, too many progressives just know the right things, but they don't know how to, from first principles, assemble an argument that would be convincing to a conservative or to a moderate or to someone who's more concerned with their pocketbook than perhaps fellow man. And, I feel that especially if we're living in swing states, and I know a lot of us do, that's an important thing for us to be doing.
I'm totally doing that sometimes. Thank you for that, Aaron.
Yeah, my first question when we were going to have a conversation like that is: have you gone to the Black Lives Matter website and read their mission statement?
Yeah, no,
nope. Well, go do that, and then come back and let's talk about what their underlying motive is, what they really are, because what they really are is a group of moms who are terrified that their sons are going to be shot to death because they're black. That's the heart of the Black Lives Matter movement. That's who it is in my town. We've had zero looting, zero defacement of property, zero threats, zero rock and bottle throwing at the police, not any of it. And we still have armed counter protesters showing up and threatening people's lives and doxing them and following them home. So you're right. The first principle has to be, so you're saying that you don't think this is a thing that's happening, and they don't, because they've never looked at it. They've never had to answer for it or call it into question. The first thing they want to do is justify why the cops had to kill a black person. He had a knife in his car. Every fucking white guy I know has a knife on them most of the time. On their belt, in their car, a machete, a baseball bat, sometimes a firearm, and that's not happening to us at nearly the rate it's happening to African American men. So it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I just this powerful cartoon that's from 19 can I just paste something in the chat? Does that work?
You could actually you should be able to share a screen and I'll be able to add it.
Here, I'm just gonna I actually can chat, I think. No, I can't.
Yeah, you could private chat it to me.
Oh, private chat, okay.
Yeah. I'll throw it up.
The other thing is people act like that the other civil rights movements were completely peaceful and didn't have any violence, and but if you look at this is a 1967 cartoon that ran in the newspaper about Martin Luther King, and it's if you don't want to click through on it, it's Martin Luther King standing in front of a city that's on fire, white people beaten on the ground, and he says, "I plan to lead another nonviolent march tomorrow." this is a slur that's been used for every single civil rights movement of note ends up in rioting and buildings burned. The Stonewall riots kicking off the LGBT civil rights campaign. Like, it's not a story of minorities coming and saying, "Oh, pretty please, can we have our civil liberties?" and white people being like, "You know what? Sure. You've got a long tail of oppression. It's easy to understand. Let's get you your civil rights." It's always been this, no, until the frustration, anger boils over. A lot
or
of
not now, or we need to move slow.
Yeah, it's just not now. This is not the right way to do it. And the fact is, we have zero power over a couple hundred people wanting to burn down shit in parts of cities, right? What we do have the power is to help people understand this is a predictable cycle. This is a predictable cycle. If reasonable people come for redress of their grievances and they're stonewalled, or even worse, the state amplifies the things that they're arguing about with batons and rubber bullets and gas, this shit is going to happen. So, like, no, it's like, I mean, yeah, I'll condemn violence and looting, but that is meaningless. Like, look how often Biden's been hounded to go to Wisconsin and denounce the violence, and he finally does it. And who gave a shit? It was crickets from the media. It's crickets. No one gave him a medal. No one gave him 5-point swing in an election. It's all bullshit. So let's fight on the merits. Let's fight about like why, no, looting and violence is terrible, but it's also a predictable result. It's something that's happened in other things that we all laud and think are great nowadays because we're 60 years down the line and we've all forgotten about our parents and grandparents' involvement in the unsavory stuff. Yeah, this cartoon.
There it is.
This is it. This is 1967 snapshot of American cultural opinion about Martin Luther King and his protests.
Yep.
Also, Martin Luther King, socialist. So
right, I was just gonna say that. Like, I hear Rio calling him a Marxist in my head for some reason.
I know, like, it's like, all these 4 Black Lives Matter leaders are Marxist. But yes, look at this man. He was too. But I said I'm trying to take it with my friends and family back to first principles and have counters like, oh, this is something new. Oh, why can't it be like Martin Luther King? Martin Luther King couldn't even be like Martin Luther King.
Right.
So,
right. Nor could Jackie Robinson, nor could Muhammad Ali, nor could Tommy Smythe. Right. The athletes, the things they say about the athletes. Oh, these spoiled millionaires, I don't want to listen to them. Well, they changed things. They actually changed things. And it wasn't easy to get there. By the way, when we talk about riots and property destruction, I don't hear these people all up in arms about the time the people of Vancouver destroyed the downtown core because the Canucks lost the Stanley Cup.
Right.
Or any town in the United States when their team wins.
Or the Pennsylvania, running wild because Joe Paterno got in trouble for not turning in a kitty diddler. I mean, there were riots over those things.
No one freaks out about it because that's not going to change any status quo. And the next morning it'll be gone, it'll be over. And so would these too. If we'd arrest a couple cops that have murdered people in cold blood on video. But we have these are the fights that we have to be having. We have to help our friends and family realize that the arguments that they're using, the tuts that they're tutting, the pearls that they're clutching are antique heirloom clutching pearls that get out of the closet every single time there's a civil rights struggle, and they don't look good on you. They make you look really sickly and cadaverous and ugly, and you need to put them back in the closet and help people and help make a change, because that's the way forward.
Nina Borders in the comments remind us of the partial quote by MLK: "A riot is the language of the unheard." And I think what's interesting is our modern better understanding of the dynamic between MLK's peaceful protest movement and the others, meaning Stokely Carmichael and Malcolm X. They were coming around to understanding each other. He was coming around to understanding that the leverage was the threat of violence, that yes, nonviolent protest was critical to be shown to be the people that were not hurting other people, but at the same time he understood that what was actually motivating the administration to change things was the threat of more violence.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I'm a nonviolent person and I preach nonviolence in my work, in my personal life. I practice it. But I, the threat that things could get ugly does make, even the people that were supportive of Martin Luther King in 1964 were saying, let's slow down. We can't push Southern white people on this. We have to slow down. But when shit started to catch on fire, they had to start thinking about doing something sooner. And that's what happened. That was a response to the other movement, which was burning shit in the street. And I don't like that that's true, but it's a thing that we've seen before. And, we're moving the needle. So
Deborah's saying good trouble. Yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's crazy that, but I John Lewis's body hasn't been in the ground for 3 weeks, and we're already having these conversations decrying the trouble in the streets and we want that negative piece, which is the absence of violence, not a positive piece, which is the presence of justice. It's
right.
Yeah.
Right. And guess what? And riots are a result of oppression, of not being heard, of being limited and cornered and not taken seriously, having your concerns not addressed. So if right-wing people, you want the violence to stop, if you want the riots to stop, address the underlying injustice.
Which they say,
how about that?
No one wants black people shot in the street. Okay,
I'm not so sure.
Yeah, how bad?
Fix it? And not just black people. No one, who's that guy that got shot, weeping and sobbing on his belly because he was just so scared to death
in the hallway
Yeah. It's like we just want cops to stop extrajudicially executing people on the streets. Period.
This is one of the things I've been saying to those people is, look, you know who else benefits if police are less brutal and kill less people? Everybody. White people benefit. Less white people. In my community, we have about a 6% African-American population in our county, right? So the overwhelming number of poor people in my county are not African-American. They're white, right? Yeah. So if the economics of bad policing aren't necessarily specific to African-American or other minority communities, especially not in areas with a low count, right? It's about poverty. It's about poor neighborhoods. And I've seen this in person. I had to do ride-alongs for my certification for battery intervention with our local sheriff's office. And the first cop that I had, the sergeant I had, was excellent. He was awesome. We had a great ride. But the second guy was young, crew cut, stomping the gas pedal, jumping on the brake. He was super aggressive from the moment I got in the car with him. So about 2 hours into the shift, he gets a call, and I don't understand the radio lingo. He goes, we're going on, you'll like this one. We're going on a domestic violence call, because he knew why I was doing the ride-alongs. It's like, I like domestic violence. I can't wait.
I can't wait to start an episode of Cops, man.
So he's storming up US 19 and towards where we're going. And he goes, this neighborhood we're going to, by the way, everybody in it, turds in a punch bowl. That's all right. So it's a poor neighborhood. The house he responded to for that call was 3 doors down from where I lived. So he literally had already written off everybody that lived in my neighborhood as problems before he even arrived on the scene to deal with the domestic violence situation. So, my point about that is that poverty, and not addressing extreme poverty and inequality, especially wealth inequality, we're going to continue to have this problem. And it's not just going to be black folks.
And the war on drugs, I remember all those Al Capone movies, The Untouchables and all that stuff, when Tommy guns were in the street and people were getting Valentine's Day massacred and stuff. It was during Prohibition, and we've got the longest running Prohibition of all time. It disproportionately affects the disadvantaged and the minorities and the poor. And that's why hundreds of people die in some American cities. Like, if you can talk about regulating guns all you want, you can do that stuff, but this is like, you could pass whatever fucking gun registration law you wanted to back in Prohibition, there'd still be people getting rat-a-tat-tatted because there's a ton of money to be made out there.
Right.
And
why do we think it is that Mexican cartels can afford submarines and armored personnel carriers?
Dude, that's the thing. I love Breaking Bad. It's one of the things that launched our network. And I like the first Sicario or whatever. But I won't watch them. I don't cover drug cop movies. I'm over it. I'm over glorifying this war on drugs. And I won't, as badass as it is to see Benicio del Toro somebody in Mexico City. We're all responsible. Every time someone gets hung upside down from a bridge, every time someone gets set on fire, every time someone gets their chainsawed off, it's us. It's our fucking appetite and laws that's causing these people to suffer and die. And
you're absolutely right.
So add that to another thing that we got to fix. But this is insane. It's been insane for going on 60 years now. it's got to stop, because that's like, you can blame the communities, you can blame the gun laws all you want. It's never going to go away. It's never going to go away as long as this prohibition is in effect.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. All right.
So
you guys want to try and talk some cool, fun stuff before we break?
Yeah.
Like, that was a mic drop moment. We could just end it right now. It's already 11. However, I have had a solid cup of wine now before 11 a.m. So
I'm excited about a couple of things that I've seen mentioned. First of all, we have a date for the new Mandalorian season, October 30th, right before Halloween.
Yeah.
That's happening. And also, I saw a trailer for a Dune movie. That's holy shit, that looks really good. The cast looks fantastic.
And is making a Dune movie. He's a fantastic filmmaker. Shit looks amazing.
And the other one was a book series that I haven't read, but I hear great things about. The Three Bodies Problem is being made into a Netflix vehicle. I'm pretty excited about that. It's a Chinese sci-fi story, and I don't know anything about Chinese science fiction, so I'm interested to hear how this goes.
The first 70 pages is just like what it's like to live in a Chinese communist government. It's a crazy way to begin a science fiction, but not if you're writing it from a Chinese perspective.
Right.
But I know a lot of people get into it and it's like, what the hell am I into? This is like,
I started it.
Section.
Exactly. Like, you're thrown into like a Chinese Revolutionary War, like a kind of scenario, right? It's really, really messed up. And the English translator actually had to do like a bunch of historical kind of inserts and kind of cultural context inserts and stuff like that, which is really fantastic, because it's the best
Chinese people would just normally know internally, we know our Civil War, right?
Yeah, we live here, exactly. So that part is really awesome, but it's the best sci-fi book to come out of China probably ever, right? It's a huge deal. And I read an article yesterday because the Game of Thrones guys are supposed to be doing it. The same Game of Thrones guys that rat fucked the entire plot line of Game of Thrones. And they make jokes to themselves about barely being able to read. And this is some heady shit. So, like,
not feeling excited, huh? Okay.
Look, not yet. I hope I'm wrong.
The Double D's literally owe me money. Them shitting the bed on Game of Thrones affected my bottom line as a person who commentates on pop culture. That was our biggest show. 1 million downloads a week at its height, and it cratered and burned and destroyed the entire franchise. But the Double D's, as I like to call them, the boobs, Dan and Dave, they are very good at adapting strong material. And they went off-road when Martin quit paving with the Game of Thrones. Three Body Problem is a complete work. I have confidence that they can execute that vision with all that they've learned in Game of Thrones. They
can't write themselves, but they can adapt stuff that they're reading.
They can adapt cool shit.
Okay, all right.
Make a really good point. In this happens frequently in long-running TV shows. Like, one of the miracles of Breaking Bad was that this didn't happen. But usually in a series, the first 2 or 3 seasons are written by a small core of writers. Right, and producers, and the show runners are a core group, and they're often young and hungry and trying to make an incredible thing happen. But then when they've won their first or second or third Emmy, they get hired away. They get better offers to go write other projects, direct other projects, and so who replaces those writers is not considered important by the studio system as it would be by the people that care about the material, right? It's rare for a show to sustain the writing quality after the 3rd season that it had in the first 3 seasons. And that's the mechanics of the economy of that, that once I've won a couple of Emmys, I can get paid a lot more to go write for some other project. And, there's a very few showrunners that get that and can control that they get writers foisted upon them, or the studio makes changes and reduces their budget for writing, or says, well, we only paid these guys $30,000 an episode. Why would we pay new writers that much? Right. So I mechanically, just the way Hollywood seems to work, or show production seems to work, that happens. And that's what, one of the most amazing compliments I ever saw was Anthony Hopkins' letter that he wrote to
Bryan Cranston.
To Bryan Cranston, where he said, I can't imagine how you sustained this level of tension and quality for this long. But that's because those showrunners did the right thing. They kept the writers. They paid attention to what had worked, and they kept doing that. And they didn't let that fall off happen. So that letter is as much about Bryan Cranston as it is about all the people that produced that show. The consistency that they showed over 7 years, 6.5, 7 years. That's an amazing length of time to stay in one creative project and keep the intensity up. So it's possible, but it's home run ball. It's like it's rare.
I wanna jump in and plug something. Virginia saying season 2 of The Boys came out today, and we got screeners for it. So we got coverage of all 3 episodes that came
you bastard
over on youtube.com/baldmove, baldmove.com, and we will be hosting a
screeners for
live
it?
watch. We'll be hosting a live watch for the first 3 episodes tonight. We're throwing an Amazon live watch party on twitch.tv/baldmove starting 8 p.m. Eastern. If you want to join and watch it with us. It's a good time. It's a violent, ultra violent, gory deconstruction of the America and the superhero system. It's really cool, very pulpy, very fun.
I'm getting to that.
Yeah, the first season felt to me like the movie. I'm such not a comic book guy or graphic novel guy.
Are you groping for Watchmen?
Yes, thank you. Like the first version of Watchmen, was such a dark look at superheroes, and the Boys reminded me very much of that kind of thing. Yeah, especially the one where the guy ran through somebody at high speed.
Yeah, dude, like that, like basically the first scene, she just disappears in a cloud of gore.
Or I love the fight scene with the Invisible Man. It's so that shit's just so good.
Campy.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely stoked to check that out. Have you guys seen any of Raised by Wolves yet?
I haven't. It's on my list.
No.
What do you think?
It feels like original sci-fi in a space where that is exceptionally rare.
What is Raised by Wolves?
What's the Ridley Scott thing where basically some androids for the atheist clan leave the destroyed Earth because the religious assholes wrecked it all. Everyone's shocked. And they're basically doing they're raising some incubated kids on this planet or whatever. And the androids.
Where is that? Where is that show available? Where is that? At?
Yeah.
I just shared it with a few million of my favorite friends. I think it's HBO.
Oh, it's on HBO. Is it out now?
I think so. Don't quote me.
Came
but
out last
if you Google
night, I
Raised by Wolves, it came out.
Oh, excellent. All right, I'll be definitely watching that because I have
first
HBO.
3 episodes. Yeah, it's. I mean, I really like it. I get a real Aliens android vibe from because it's Ridley Scott, right? But like that,
right?
That you can kind of sense all of his worries about AI and androids and powerful women. Like it's kind of palpable, but I hope you guys watch it so we can get your opinion.
Excellent.
That'd be really cool.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm anxious to watch that. Well, you know what?
Oh, yeah. Are you guys watching Lovecraft Country?
Yeah, I've seen the first 3.
Love it.
I haven't seen episode 3 yet, but I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
It's funny to me, like if I understand that it's basically it's that graphic novel comic based thing, and I don't know what I expected, but what I got isn't what I expected, and I like it. It's just not. I don't know what I expected from it, but the mixing of civil rights lessons, like them playing Whitey on the Moon during one portion of the I was like, and the James Baldwin speech that was overlaid of them riding in the car. Holy shit! I did not expect those kind of lessons from a sci-fi show, so that's been pretty compelling. Yeah. I'm not sure I like any of the characters. I'm not sure I like them. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I'm not empathetic with them yet.
All right.
In the context of the weirdness, but I am in the context of them, like understanding that those same kind of racist things we always think about as Southern tropes were happening in Massachusetts and Connecticut and in those northeastern states in the time frame that it's set in. So it's good. It's really good. I can't lie. Yeah, I like it.
Well, I interrupted you saying something, Greg. Before I threw in Lovecraft Country there. What were you going to say?
I don't know.
Something epic. I'm sure.
Could have been anything.
I need one.
Could have been anything.
Anything? Oh, the other thing I'm excited for coming up at the end of September is Fargo season 4, which has been delayed almost a year now because of the coronavirus. They finally, I guess, got it complete or in a state that they can announce it. If you haven't seen any of Fargo's, It is Noah Hawley, who's known for like really kind of out there visual storytelling style, and he remixes each season as kind of like he takes little bits of the Coen brothers films to kind of weave into the narrative. It's anthology. Every season is something slightly different. And this year it's starring Chris Rock. They got Timothy Oliphant.
Nice.
You might recognize as Raylan Givens from Justified playing a lawman.
Mr. Crazy Eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and I'm really excited because I've liked all of the Fargo. Season 2 had some problems with the ending, but like there's nothing like it on television.
Yeah, I haven't. I think I watched maybe 2 episodes of season 1, so maybe that's something that I'll have to find binge worthy here soon and jump on that.
It's great because none of this, it doesn't matter. Just jump in season 4. It's an anthology.
Right. Yeah.
So,
all right. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Just gotta get into the Minnesota accent. Yeah, you know.
Oh, we're in Central Florida. We have plenty of Minnesota accents around here. Don't worry. We have whole city blocks where they moved down here in the 80s. So, yep. Lots of snowbirds.
It's true.
Yep.
And really, like Minnesota's just Canadian like.
It is pretty similar.
Diet Canada.
Yeah.
Diet Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. We're in places where you learn that polite doesn't actually equal nice.
Mm-hmm.
It can be 2 different things. I don't know how they can produce anything in the time of COVID, says Fred. Yeah, they had to suspend the Batman production because Pattinson has COVID. I read that yesterday.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, Hollywood really wants to get back to work, but man, you start these A-listers. The Rock, his whole family got sick this last few weeks. A couple. I'm just wondering. Also, something I was pondering on our show last night. What if an A-lister just up and dies?
Guys.
Well, he did. John Prine.
Who the hell is John Prine? That's not an A-lister.
See, that's just wrong. That you don't know.
He's a musician.
Probably
not in Hollywood.
The greatest American songwriter of the last, 40 years.
That's a little heavy, but
yeah.
Of COVID? Did he die? Did he die of COVID?
He did. He had cancer before. He was a cancer survivor. He contracted it and died early.
Like if a real strong, manly man, like God forbid The Rock or Jason Momoa, if one of those guys actually gets this and dies on a production, I think it might actually move the needle because there's a lot of people like you even see like, well, who's that fucker? Adam Carolla. God damn. I used to listen to him in kind of a curmudgeonly, angry white guy way. He's lost his goddamn mind. And this is starting to push back. It's like, it's just only killing the old and the weak, but that's not
Joe Rogan's doing that now.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's Joe Rogan dying of COVID would be huge. Like I don't know what people would say if that happened. I'm not advocating for it. I have a soft spot for Joe and his meathead, but I mean, there's just like there's so much willful disbelief because it's just not happening to anybody that they know, or if they does, it's somebody's old and
I think we could have the same thing happen. We could see the same thing happen if it's athletes. If somebody like a Tom Brady or a major NFL star, NBA star dies from it, we see the same thing.
Haven't there been careers ruined already? That was barely a blip. Some guy got COVID. He's got a heart condition. He's out for life now.
A bunch of college football players. That's already happened to. So their professional careers are going to be non-existent.
What's really interesting is like when The Rock, I like The Rock, and he did a little Tim and Instagram kind of get everybody talking, saying that, hey, you should really, if I can get it, I'm the parent. Look at me, I'm fucking the Terminator here. If I can get, anyone can. But he said, what I'm doing with my family going forward is anyone that comes over, we're going to get them tested that day or the day before and make them show. I'm like, in what world does The Rock live in? Right. Where you can get a COVID test and get results back 24. And the thing is I think he lives in that world.
He does.
I think
private schools in New York are doing the same thing, right? Like private schools in New York are now getting everyone tested same day, that day. And they get to go to school because, there is a small but significant economic divide. Or as your co-host Rio would say, we're not going for equity. We're going for equality.
Yeah, that Chadwick Boseman shit was wild. There's been a lot of like people, because there's a whole meme going around that like Chad Boseman's sick of playing the Black Panther, and he, because there's a couple like haggard looking Chris Boseman doing the Wakanda stuff with kids and things, and it's like, nah, man, he probably just did chemo the day before, and he went over there to meet with these kids anyway, and like all this shit that you were dragging him for, like I don't that stuff is I saw that same stuff, people ragging on him for losing his body mass and, calling him the black kitten or whatnot. It's
something that I never want to.
I'm glad I didn't.
Something that I never want to.
You should never comment on people's physical appearance because you just never fucking know.
Something that I never want to miss a chance to say though is if Chadwick Boseman had died of a drug overdose, we'd be having a very different conversation about his heroism. Addiction is a disease. So when we're making fun of people's appearance and their struggles without knowing what's underlying it, we risk, like everybody's sad that Amy Winehouse died, but nobody was surprised, right? And I would like to see struggles with addiction and depression given the same value as a struggle with colon cancer.
Here.
I think that's an important thing to know. That Robin Williams didn't, yes, it was suicide, but he had struggled. He had beat depression for 55 fucking years before he finally did it. So that I would consider that a brave fight against depression and mental illness. And I just never want to miss a chance to say that. We're having one conversation about Chadwick Boseman, but we had a very different conversation about Amy Winehouse. And I think that's important for us to understand that, illness is illness.
I mean, if Boseman got shot in the face, everyone would be saying, "Oh, but he was reaching for a knife."
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Like, what was he doing?
What if he had that? What if he had that Wakanda armor underneath and he had sharp nails?
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, I am
black man carrying vibranium. Just a lot of them are.
I mean, they are. It's a real legit issue that it's for sure real. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a fucking lightweight. I've had literally a cup of wine, and I'm like, it's 11.
Yeah, Maria's mentioning that report that I was talking about. 30% of positive tests from college football players are getting myocarditis. So that's a real impediment to your future NFL career if you're a college player.
Generation of talent. It's like a war. It's like a war. Yeah. It's like a world war.
Yep, it is.
And but it's fake news. Only affecting the old people.
Right.
Fuck them, right?
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine who she asked me specifically, should I go to this party right in the early thing? And I was like, you should not fly from your town and go to this, my friend's asshole, shitheaded fucking July 4th party. She did it anyway. And that's fun. And everyone doesn't care now. They go to a funeral for a family member who didn't die of COVID. Every one of them got COVID. So,
I wanted to let my son go to Florida to go to the beach for a week next week, which is going to be like week 2 into his schooling thing. And she's like, well, I trust it because the guy who's taking him down there is a nurse. And I'm like,
no, dude, listen. As a person who lives in Florida, let me tell you, we have huge problems here with the amount of testing.
I've been paying attention to the news. And I'm just like, it's like, you want to send him to Corona Town in the middle of this pandemic because he's with the nurse and it'll be okay. And like, oh, they're not going to eat out and they're just going to stay. And like, I just don't like once a person shows that little a judgment, it's like, I don't like, like they're really not going to go out and go to a restaurant. They're not going to be, I just don't trust it. So I said no. I was kind of the bad guy for a couple of weeks, but it's a bummer.
Right. Well, no kid wants to hear, your dad is right about this, but
right.
Two guys that live in Florida like, no, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah, it is.
We've been trying to do stuff like, take him hiking. We've done a lot of river floats where, you're outside, you're not around anybody. We're blessed. Even though I live in Cincinnati, we live right next to the Little Miami River, which is this national scenic river. That's like a little bit of nature in the middle of the city. And we have all these like bike trails and stuff that we've been really hitting. But yeah, it sucks for young people. And I can't wait till we get a vaccine and we can stop all this nonsense.
Yeah. Well, Mishi and I, the girlfriend and I we're exploring Florida Springs. That's what we've been going on drives to, we have some pretty fantastic freshwater springs here with manatees and other things in them. So and the state parks are actually not very crowded right now. So that's what we've been doing. We've been going out on drives out to the country, like not going to museums and things like that where there's, a lot more people. I understand, like my mom is actually itchy to go out and do something. So we may take her on our country drive tomorrow. But that's what we're doing. We're trying not to go to places where there's millions of people.
Yeah. Good.
Vacation spots are a bad idea.
Good strategy.
All right. Are we ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, we went long, but we had really cool shit to talk about. So, Aaron, thank you so much. I love when you come on, man. You're
a lot of fun, yeah.
You're super awesome. And to the rest of you guys, have a safe weekend, but have as much fun as you possibly can.
Yes.
And the outside thing really is one of the safest things that you can go out and do. It's room gatherings, inside that are by far the worst scenarios. So if you find yourself floating down a river or whatever, like that definitely is appearing to be really, really awesome. Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Make sure you have your voting plan ready. And apparently,
Monday we'll talk more about the local sheriff on Monday.
A lot of turds in the punch bowl in Washington, D.C.
Oh, my God.
I see what you did there.
Punch bowl.
Well, you'll probably be seeing a story about our local sheriff, A.Ron, even up where you are, Aaron, up where you are, about our local sheriff's thought crime program that they've been involved in for about 8-9 years now.
Dude.
He
started fucking real.
Started an intelligence-based policing program that has at its core hassling people who have ever been charged with a crime, following them around, bugging them.
Wow.
Oh yeah, witnesses and victims have also ended up on the list to be harassed by our local sheriff's office.
It'd make it so much easier if we just got like maybe scarlet letters that we could like stitch to people's clothes and make sure that we know that they're.
And he's overwhelmingly popular. Like Joe Arpaio and Grady Judd in Polk County, Florida. Our sheriff is getting that kind of reputation, and it's really disturbing. A huge expose yesterday by the Tampa Bay Times about this program and what's wrong with it, including one of the kids that was a juvenile when they started following him around, turned his life around, went to a juvenile facility, got cleaned up, stopped committing crimes, got a job, but the cops were visiting his house 3 to 5 times a week, even though he was on community control, and he committed suicide. He overdosed and committed suicide behind a building. But I expect that story will get some national momentum. You'll probably be seeing it. It's pretty bad.
Dave's in a chat cracking some sick precog jokes here. I love it. I'm here for it.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to talk more about that on Monday, including some folks that we know that you may see in our comment section on our show who have actually been targeted by this program, and my indirect experience with it as well. I've been advocating for our homeless people for the past 5-7 years. And the things that were in that article about how these folks were treated is exactly how the homeless tell us they are treated by the local sheriff's office. So it's absolutely no surprise to me that this is an actual concerted program, and they're using it to make people's lives miserable. So they'll move away. That's what they want. They want to irritate you into moving away or put you in jail. So,
damn,
America.
Yeah, sorry to end on a downer note, but
cruelty goes out of fashion in this country.
Right,
shit,
right. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's only been 400 years. I have high
hopes. We've had bright periods.
Yeah, for some parts.
But I'm a white guy, so
Right? How the fuck would we know?
Yeah, I did the dark. Yeah, I mean, it's better when we're making movies like A Wonderful Life. It's worse when we make movies like Greed, or Wall Street or whatever.
Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah.
Like there's definitely better times, and it's never been perfect. But holy shit, on this like I said, this ignorant cruelty. It's fucking evil.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. I'm gonna go have some lunch and get on with my weekend here.
I'm probably gonna go watch The Boys season 2.
Yeah.
And if you haven't yet, by 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, come on over to twitch.tv/baldmove, and we're going to watch it live. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you can watch it right along with us with our commentary.
Nice.
Great idea. That's fun. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Cool beans. All right,
guys.
I think we're doing
have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back on. What?
No. I think we're doing an NFT auction tonight, so I might miss it. But everyone else should go to there because a bunch of weirdos talking about their digital stickers is a fucking ridiculous way to spend a Friday night. So that's what I'm gonna do.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We love you very much. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that we can be your gaslight shelter on an occasional day. We really thank Aaron for coming and joining us. And Sasquatch is real.